Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it one more time for the 8-time Mr. Olympia, the man, the great one, Ronnie Coleman.
I'm always very energetic and I'm ready to go.
Everybody want to be a bodybuilder, but nobody want to lift no heavy-ass weight.
Hey, baby! The new Mr. Olympia, Ronnie Coleman.
The guys now don't do what I did.
Give him a big hand. Big hand to Ronnie Coleman, Mr. Olympia 7 times.
Talk is cheap. You want to do something? Yeah, we can do something right now. Yeah, I brought my own weapons of mass destruction. I come to do a lot of damage.
Oh, Mr. Coleman. How does that feel? How does that? I mean, look at all these faces that have come out to see you today.
Good to be back. It's been a long time.
We're going to take these people on a journey. We're going to talk about the old days. We're going to talk about the days where we're at right now.
Okay.
And we're obviously going to celebrate the achievements of becoming 8-time Mr. Olympia, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
That's what we're going to do.
Looking forward to it.
Well, let's go back to Louisiana then, shall we?
Okay.
We'll go there in the 1960s, 1970s. What was it like as a young Ronnie Coleman growing up back in Louisiana?
Well, I'm from a real small town. There's not a lot going on. We have about 15,000 people there. That was really nothing to do. You know, went to elementary school, junior high, high school. Growing up, I had 3 sisters and 1 brother. I started working out when I was about 12 years old, so that's how bored I was. And the reason why I started working out because when I was very young, I was very muscular at a young age. Around 9, 10 years old, I started developing a real good physique just by genetics only. And everywhere I went, people always asked if I worked out, and I always said no, and I got tired of saying no, so I was like, let me start working out and see what happens. And I got a plastic weight set, one of those Weider plastic weight sets, actually, at the age of 12, started working out and kind of fell in love with it. And after that, some guys from the high school saw me when I was in junior high, and they like, man, you kind of big, look like you're strong. You want to join the powerlifting team? I was like, yeah. So at 14, I joined the powerlifting team and started powerlifting. Didn't do that good. I did okay. I didn't win a lot. You know, I was competing against bigger, more muscular guys back then. So I did fairly well, but I really fell in love with working out. And I just started doing it every single day then.
Before you got to the stage of professional competition, did you flirt with other sports? I know that you were keen with football.
Oh yeah, as a kid, we didn't have a lot of sports. I played baseball. I played basketball, football, and track. Basically, that was all we had where I'm from. We didn't have any other sports like. We didn't have golf, and we didn't have wrestling, nothing else. Those 4 sports. We didn't have tennis. We just had those 4 sports, so everybody played those 4 sports coming up, and that was it, you know. I played football my whole high school, junior high. I was on the track team also, same thing. And I didn't get a scholarship out of college, but I did go to a local college, which is about an hour from my hometown, called Grambling State University, where I walked on and made the team and finally ended up starting there. But I didn't get drafted or nothing. So when I graduated college, I got my degree in accounting, graduated with honors, so I was a pretty good student. And didn't have a job because I was playing football and I didn't get a chance to interview. So some friends of mine had jobs in Dallas, Texas. So I followed them to Dallas, Texas, and ended up getting a job there at Domino's Pizza.
Perfect. You've led me to the point. That's beautiful. So obviously the education, you were a bright student, studied accounting.
Yeah.
Didn't, not for your own reasons, but for reasons not being able to get the interviews and what have you, you didn't pursue that career, and you end up at Domino's. And talk to me about, before we get to obviously what you ended up doing, talk to me about your time at Domino's, because away from, in real life, it was quite a difficult time for you.
Yeah, let me tell you why I chose Domino's first. I was putting in all these applications everywhere, like all over the United States, and in my major, accounting, they always wanted you to have experience. Well, it's kind of hard to get experience, right out of college. So I never had experience, so I worked at Domino's for about 2 years, delivering pizzas, making pizzas, eating pizza. I was so poor that I couldn't afford to buy my own lunch and dinner, so I ate pizza every single day for dinner and lunch. But it was good, so I didn't have any problem with that. But I did get tired of eating pizza at one time, but there was a Kentucky Fried Chicken next door, and I figured they were tired of chicken, so I called them and asked them if they wanted to trade pizza for chicken. They was like, yeah, we're tired of eating chicken. So I did that for a while, and reason why I got that job at Domino's is because when you graduate college in where I'm from, they had this program called first-time buyers. You can buy a car and wouldn't have to pay the note for 3 months. Well, my 3 months was coming to an end, and I had to pay the car note, so I had to take the first thing that came along, and Domino's was the first person that hired me, and I'm like, okay, I'll take it, because I got to pay this car note. So I worked there for 2 long years. I mean, I struggled. I mean, it got so bad, I got to the point where I couldn't pay hardly any bills, so I got a second job. That job was delivering newspapers. So here I am, paper boy, pizza boy, with a college degree, and I'm like, this is not gonna work. So I used to get the classified paper every single weekend. I did that for 2 years, looking for a job in accounting. And after 2 years of doing that, you kind of get real discouraged. And I'm like, I gotta find something. I gotta find another career. Well, when I got the classified ads, there was always a big a big ad for police department, and they were hiring, and they didn't want you to have experience or nothing. So I'm like, well, I think I can do that job. So I applied there and hired on right away, and best decision I ever made in my life.
We'll talk about policing at great length, no doubt, throughout the course of this conversation. But you became the Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, in my first year.
In your first year. And I want to talk about that from a mentality point of view, because obviously, whatever you set your task to, you attempt to try and be the best of.
I was trying to be the best cop there, so I was always chasing after suspect. I had a high arrest record. I was arresting about 3-4 people a day sometimes. I was having so much fun and enjoying myself, and like I said, it was the best decision I ever made in my life. And for my tenacity, of chasing suspects and arresting so many people, they gave me the Rookie of the Year award.
Have you always been like that, Ronnie?
I've always, yeah. Even when I was in college, I didn't get a scholarship, but I figured, if I walk on, maybe they would award me one if I started, and that's exactly what happened there too. So I finally got a scholarship from walking on, and once I became a starter.
I would have loved to have tasted the pizzas that you made then, my friend.
Oh yeah, I had a lot of fun there. A lot of fun. I hated everything that I didn't get drafted, but reason why I didn't try to walk on with the pros because I heard a lot of stories about how hard it was, and I had a few injuries at the time, and I was like, I know I'm not going to be able to make it with these injuries, so let me go on and try to do something else.
How do you balance, obviously you're now a police officer, so how do you balance being a police officer and then starting this process of becoming a bodybuilder? How do you make that happen?
Well, that happened reluctantly. I was working at the station, and one day, one of the guys who I work with saw me on a call. He's like, man, you're pretty big. Where you work out at? Like, I work at the station. He's like, oh, man, there ain't enough weight there for you. I'm like, yeah. It was real small. He's like, I got this gym called Metroflex. Won't you come there with me? So the next day I went to Metroflex, and as soon as I walk in the door, the owner sees me, and they're like, man, you pretty big guy. You compete? I was like, no, dude, I've never, ever competed, and I never, ever want to compete. He's like, you should compete, dude. You could probably be pretty good at this sport. I was like, no, I just hired on the police department, and I like working there, and I don't like dieting, and I definitely can't be taking any drugs, working there. He's like, oh, you wouldn't have to do that. And I was like, nah, that's okay. Well, about 2 or 3 days passed by, and every day I come in the gym, he's like, man, you really need to compete. He's like, you could probably be world champion or Mr. Olympia or something one day. I'm like, no, dude, I don't even know what Mr. Olympia, I've heard of world champion, but I don't know what Mr. Olympia is, Like, what is that? He's like, that's the best bodybuilder in the world. I'm like, no, that's okay. I don't want to do that. He said, I'll tell you what. He said, I give you a free membership if you compete in the show coming up in like 3 months. He said, I'll teach you how to pose, diet, everything you need to know. I'm like, dude, you should have led with that. Yeah, I'll do it just about anything for something free. And, I did my first show. It was called the Mr. Texas. I went in, I won first overall, and I went to some other shows and, won first overall in every show I competed in. And that same year, I went to the Nationals, the men's national. It's the biggest amateur show in the U.S. And I placed third, my first time out. Well, I didn't turn pro or nothing, so back to work. And the next year, I went back, and I went to the Nationals again. This time, I placed fourth, but they had a team of guys that if you could pass the drug test, you could go to the world championship, what Brian told me about, and you could win your pro card there. Well, there were 43 guys in my class, and I was the only one showed up to take the drug test. I took it, passed it, went to the world championship, got there, took another drug test because they didn't believe the other drug test. Because I was, like I said, I was pretty big back then. I weighed about 215, somewhere in there. It wasn't a lot. It wasn't close to what I weighed once I turned pro. And I went to the world championships and I won first, and I turned pro there. And that was 1991. And I had my first pro show in 1992. Got 11th. And my second pro show in 1992, I got 14th. And I had qualified for the Mr. Olympia that year. And I went to the Mr. Olympia in Helsinki, Finland. And I went to the Mr. Olympia and got dead last. I guess I was so bad that I didn't even get compared to nobody. I just had pretty much a seat, a front row seat on stage where I could watch all the other guys compete. But it was the most rewarding experience of my life. So it was great.
That experience in Helsinki, we've just spoken about your attitude towards policing, wanting to become the best. Your attitude towards life, wanting to become the best.
Yeah.
What did Helsinki do for you with your attitude towards becoming Mr. Olympia?
Yeah, it energized me pretty much, and to continue to do better. And from that moment on, I said I'm gonna give this 110% each and every single day, because every day I got up, I couldn't wait to get to the gym. And once I left to the gym, I couldn't wait to get away from the gym to go to the police department and do something different. Because, back then, variety was the most important thing in my life. And when I went to work every single day, it was something different. Every single day, it was never the same thing. So I look forward to going to work every day because I knew I was going to get a chance to have a different experience every single day. It was never the same. There would be days where I'd have 3 arrests, 4 arrests, and then there would be days where I didn't have no arrests and I didn't do anything. Sometimes the city was just bored and tired and nobody wanted to do anything. I hated those days. Those were some of my worst days because I truly, I enjoyed police work so much that I looked forward to interacting with people each and every single day. And when I didn't, those were what I call my bad days. But I didn't have a whole lot of those, but you know, I had some.
The experience in Helsinki finishing dead last, the year after you didn't qualify for
The year after,
Olympia.
the next year I didn't qualify because back then you had to place in the top 3 in any pro show to qualify, and I didn't get close. I think I got like 6th, 7th in every show I entered that year.
The majority of people at that stage would contemplate, this isn't for me, I'm going to pack it in, I'm not going to do it anymore.
Yeah.
But that wasn't you.
That wasn't me. And plus, you know, I had this free membership to the gym that I wasn't willing to give up either. So I was looking forward to going to the gym and competing and not having to pay to work out each and every day. Because like I said, you know, that was my hobby too.
I love that. So then talk to me about the year after that. So
Yeah, the
last,
ne-
not qualified, and then...
Yeah, the next year, 1994, I qualified at a show in Germany and a show in Paris. I got 3rd in both of those. And I went to the Mr. Olympia that year and I got 15th. So I was moving up. I went from not placing at all to placing 15th. So that was real good for me. And I was real excited and real motivated from that.
You were a person that has spoken openly about picking the brains of your contemporaries, going to speak to people like Flex and all those.
Yeah. Like in 1994, that same year, I think Flex Wheeler won the Arnold Classic. He just turned pro, and he was on those tours with me in France and Germany. And I'm like, man, you know, when I was in college, when I wasn't the smartest guy in the class, I would go to the guy who was the smartest, and we would study together. So I let me apply some of that philosophy to Flex Wheeler. So Flex is in his room, and you know, he's just chilling. You know, he had just won the Auto Classic. He had won, you know, the show in Paris. And I'm like, let me pick his brain and see what he knows. And I went to his room and, you know, knocked on his door, and he let me in. And I like, man, what are you doing to win all these shows? Because, you know, I was still new to the sport. I didn't know hardly anything. Brian had taught me as much as he could probably teach me at this stage. And Flex gave me one of the greatest lectures I've ever gotten in my life. He told me how he, you know, won the show and what he did, how he prepared, and he even offered me advice to talk to some other people that could even further my career. So I talked to them, and they helped me out. And in 1995, I won my first pro show, and it was all because of the knowledge that Flex Wheeler passed along to me.
Was that the same conversation that you had with him about the vodka?
Oh no, that was Kevin LeBron.
Oh, it's Kevin. Sorry, I
That
apologize.
was years later.
That was a few years later. We'll get to
later.
that story then in a moment or two. Talk to me then about that advice from Flex.
Yeah.
In '98, it was supposed to be his Mr. Olympia.
Yeah.
And you end up beating him.
Yeah, Flex Wheeler offered me some more advice. He's like, he called me up and like, man, who's your trainer? I'm like, I don't have one. He's like, well, I got this guy named Chad Nichols. He's helped me out a lot. You need to call him up and hire him. He'll really, you know, do a lot for your career. And you know, anything Flex says, I'm definitely gonna take his advice, especially from all the knowledge that he had passed on before. It helped me win those shows. After I won that 95 show in Canada, I won a pro show every single year after that. I went to the Olympia every single year after that, you know, placed higher and higher and higher. Well, in 98, Flex gave me this guy's name by the name of Chad Nichols, you know, and I called him up. He didn't return my phone calls. So I called Flex back. I'm like, dude, you gave me this guy's number, told me to call him, and he won't call me back. He's like, keep calling him. He'll finally call you. He's just busy. So I finally called him back, and Chad he completely changed everything I was doing, from my diet, where I worked out, every single thing. I thought I knew a lot about bodybuilding, you know, since I've been in sports so long. Chad completely changed everything I was doing. And it was for the best, because I went to the Night of Champions that year, won that show. I won a couple shows before that. Went to the Olympia, of course, and won that show. And it was all because of the information Flex gave me about Chad. So had it not been for Flex giving me Chad's information in the advice, you know, I wouldn't have. There's no way I would have won the Olympia that year. No way possible.
What was the reaction of your contemporaries backstage as you turned up for 98? Because 97, you were ninth.
Ninth, yeah.
And then you went from ninth to first, which is unheard of. Most people either finish 2 or 3 and then win.
They were just as shocked as I was. I remember going into that show. You know, I had never placed in the top 5. I never placed higher than 6. So my goal was to, you know, just make the top 5 for once. And winning was out of the question. Totally out of the question. I got in the sport just for free membership to the gym, you know. Of course, I'm gonna give it my all, but I can remember standing there, and it's me and Flex, and I'm in shock, you know. I can't believe what's happening. I knew I had second. I knew, because everybody had already said Flex was gonna win, Flex was gonna win. It was just a foregone conclusion, basically. And when he called Flex's name second, I'm like, he wouldn't make a mistake on this stage. And there was a long pause. It seemed like a day went by from him saying Flex's name second and my name first. And when he announced Flex at second, I totally collapsed.
An iconic moment.
And I didn't remember anything for about 5 or 10 minutes until my girlfriend came on stage and picked me up, because I was down for a long time. I saw the film later, and Flex came over and said something to me. Chris came over and said something to me, and I didn't hear a word either one of them said, and I didn't know anything about it until I watched the film. That's how shocked and out of it I was. They
were iconic images. I'm sure everybody remembers those where you fall
But you know what?
Floor.
There's another story I didn't tell. In 1997, this is a kind of a funny story. You know, I'm climbing up the ladder and I'm doing good, and I'm thinking, you know, I'm real good at this now. So I went to the Ironman. This was my first year getting accepted in the Honor Classic. I had tried to get accepted in the Honor Classic every year, and every year they turned me down, for 5 years in a row. And I got accepted to the Honor Classic. I'm excited, and I'm thinking, finally made it. I go to the Ironman, and I get third place. Lee Priest beats me. And it was the biggest shock of my life. So I'm like, okay, you know, that was a mistake. I go to the Honor Classic that next week. My first time ever getting accepted. I'm excited. I'm beyond, excited, actually. And Lee Priest is beat me in the show again because he's getting called out before me. And I'm like, this is not happening. And I say to myself, this is not the sport for me. And I get back to my room and I tell my girlfriend, who's also in the show, Vicky, I like, Vicky, this sport is not for me. You know, I got a job at the police department and I don't need this bodybuilding stuff. I'm making a lot of money there. This is my last show and I'm quitting. And she looked at me and she said, boy, shut up. And I thought to myself, damn, she got a point. If I quit, I'm gonna lose my free membership to the gym. And that was the only thing that saved me from quitting sport right there.
Well, what happened next was just incredible. You went on
I
an
went on
unbelievable
one
run.
So, had it not been for that free membership,
You became the first
never
man.
won the Olympia.
Well, you became the first man to win the Arnold Classic and Mr. Olympia in the same year, which is a sensational achievement within itself. But talk to me about the mentality change then of you were always the hunter. You were always chasing.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Now you're the hunted. You're the
Yeah,
main guy.
yeah. And I know that. So every single year, I'm trying to get as good as I possibly can. I'm putting in more preparation, more time. I'm highly focused. I'm taking off time from work now, you know. I used to work right up to the day, you know, I left for the show. Well, after I won my first Mr. Olympia, the chief came to me and said, man, you've done a lot for this department. So anytime you want to take off from work, you can. Just let us know and we'll let you take as much time as you need to win this Olympia thing. So I went to him and said, hey, I need about 3 months off to get ready for the show. He's like, no problem. Just go and do what you need to do. Come back, win that trophy, and come back to work afterwards, whenever you get ready. I'm like, cool. So like I said, I got a lot more serious, you know, because I know, like you said, I'm the hunted now. And I think that helped me out a whole lot too. So in 2000, I think, I had won about 3 Olympias, and the chief that hired me had quit, and the new chief came in. It was like, man, they watching everything I do, so I can't let you off from work, so you probably gonna have to just quit. I'm like, yeah, I am, because like I said, I really need these days off. And Jim Lorimer used to call me every single year and say, hey, man, why don't you come do my Arnold Classic? You know, I know you Mr. Olympia. I'm like, no, Jim, I can't do the Arnold Classic. I'm just a one-show guy. Well, in 2000, he came to me and said, I got a real good proposition for you. He's like, we're giving away a Hummer at the Arnold Classic next year. I'm like, Jim, I'm in. I said, you give away a Hummer. I always wanted one of those things. I'll be there. And I did my first Arnold Classic in 2001, won, and people to this day say that was the best conditioning that I've ever had on stage. So not only did I win Hummer, I had some of the best conditioning ever.
There's becoming a theme here, Ronnie, where if there's free stuff involved, you're ready to rock and roll. If there's something free coming your way.
Something free involved, and I really want it, and I really kind of need it in my mind, I'm going to do it.
Talk to me about the transition of your body over the period of being a professional. You mentioned a moment or two ago, 215 pounds was your first professional show, and you ended up nearly at 300 when you finished.
Yeah, I would put on like 10 pounds of muscle every single year. I mean, that's a lot of weight when you consider that it's pure muscle. So I trained so hard that I was able to, you know, put on 10 pounds of muscle every single year until I finally got to the point where I went from 215 to 315. But I didn't get 315 on stage. That was my off-season weight. But I did get like 295 in 2004, my heaviest weight on stage. But there's another story. 2001, when I won the Arnold Classic, I learned a very, very valuable lesson that I never knew before because I never done anything like that. I found out that the body only really peaks once a year. When you're in peak condition, and there's no other time that you can get in peak condition. Well, I peaked at the Arnold Classic. I got my peak condition at the Arnold Classic, and I'm getting ready for the Olympia. And you know, I know how I look at every stage of preparation. You know, I started about 12 weeks out, sometimes 10 weeks out, and I know how I look. Well, about 4 weeks out, I'm struggling, and I'm not where I'm supposed to be. I'm not looking the way I want to be. 3 weeks out, I'm struggling. I'm still struggling, and I'm not looking like I want to be. So I'm panicking a little bit, but you know, not a whole lot. 2 weeks out, I'm not where I'm supposed to be. I'm not looking like I want to be. And I remember 1 week out, I got on the plane and I got sick. I got real sick going to Vegas. I've never ever gotten sick before, and I'm still not where I want to be. Well, I get to Vegas, and I'm doing all this. It had me doing like 3 or 4 appearances a day, hyping up the Mr. Olympia, and that was something different. First of all, I'm not where I want to be. I'm not in the condition that I want to be, and they are having me do all these appearances. Man, it's like the night before the show, and I can feel it. I'm not feeling the way I want to feel. I'm not looking the way I want to look either. And I'm panicking a little bit. Well, I'm standing in the mirror, and I'm having my girlfriend put on my tan. And while I was putting on my tan, I happened to faint. Good thing there was a bathtub behind me, because I fell in it, and it kind of broke my fall a little bit. And I wake up, and I'm like, what happened? She said, you fainted. I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, you fainted. I'm like, I did? I'm like, wow, that was crazy. Well, now I'm tired. I'm exhausted. But I play it off because the show is the next day, so I gotta get focused. I gotta get mentally prepared, Well, the morning of the show, I wake up and I'm so exhausted, I can't even get out of bed. I'm feeling sick, I'm feeling tired, I'm feeling exhausted. And when you've been doing this for a long time, you know how you're supposed to feel. You know how you're supposed to look. And it's the morning of the show and I can't get out of bed. I'm really panicking, I'm struggling. And right at that moment, I felt something come over me, and it felt like I was about to die or something. I felt so awful and so bad. It scared me, and I really thought I was dying. So I called my nutritionist, and I'm like, dude, I want to live, and I feel like I'm about to die. Something going on, my body ain't right. I'm going to the hospital. He's like, no, man, you work too hard. You work too hard for this. We put in a lot of work. You can't just throw it away like that. He said, just grab a gallon of water and chug it. And you know how water is with bodybuilders. The morning of the show, I grabbed a gallon of water, drank it, and I felt a whole lot better. But there was a problem. I was holding a lot of water. So because I had peaked at the Arnold, I looked real bloated on stage that morning because I drank that gallon of water, and I lost the prejudging. Jay Cutler beat me, and I'm really panicking now. So my nutritionist, he has all these tricks. He's giving me all kinds of powder to drink and try to get this water off me. And sure enough, by the grace of God, I guess, the water finally came out, and I was able to, get back to what I normally look like. And I pulled it out I think I won by 1 point, the Olympia that year. So I learned a valuable lesson: never ever do a show before the Olympia, because the body only peaks once a year. And that could have ended my reign had my nutritionist not talked me out of going to the hospital that morning.
Unbelievable. We've spoken about your mental strength and the way that you kept going and kept persevering and getting to the very top of the game. What was it like when you eventually were defeated? You mentioned Jay's name there. What was the emotions like suffering that defeat?
Yeah. That kind of like hit me like a ton of bricks. Because I remember that show, and I remember going in. I felt good, and I thought, before I went over to the show, I looked good, and I didn't see anything wrong. But somehow or another, Jay ended up beating me, and that was the end of it. But I looked back and I said, I got into this sport only because of a free membership to the gym. I ain't got no reason to be ashamed, no reason to feel bad about nothing. I'm probably the luckiest guy in the world, so it is what it is. And I couldn't have picked a better life for myself than anything, because bodybuilding is what I was put here on this earth to do. That was my calling from God, and one that I accepted joyfully, and thank God that I listened. And when Brian, gave me that free, thank God Brian gave me that free membership to the gym, or I wouldn't have never chose bodybuilding.
When you were defeated by Jay, you didn't retire, you didn't give up. You came back. Tried again. Yeah. Talk to me about the mentality there. What was going through your mind there?
Well, I think I had injured my back 10 years earlier, and I had injured it also when I was in high school. I injured it in college, and so the injuries started piling up now. So it was real hard for me to compete, that last year, because I was in so much pain. All those back injuries had started adding up, and I got to the point where I couldn't even stand up for more than 5 minutes at a time, because there was so much pain and numbness in my feet. So after that last Miss Olympia, I had my first back surgery because I was in so much pain I couldn't even stand up. And it fixed me up, and I was pretty much back to normal. But competition was definitely out of the question.
Post-career, it's been well documented how many surgeries that you've had and hip replacements and various things like that. Again, incredibly, not just physically, but mentally taxing on a human being to go through all those processes.
Yeah, I think from that first surgery, it kind of it's like stacking a bunch of cans on top of each other and snatching one out. They're all going to eventually fall. And that's kind of like what happened to me. All my discs just started herniating after that first one. And so I had to have surgery after surgery. And because I'm so big and strong, the screws that they would put in, they kept breaking. So every time a screw would break, I would have to have another surgery to fix it. So I ended up having 3 surgeries in 1 year, all because the screws weren't strong enough to support, the strength of my back. And I ended up having 8 back surgeries, and then 3 neck, and then all of a sudden my hips gave out. Come to find out that genetically my family has hip problems, because my brother had both his hips replaced. My uncles had their hips replaced. Well, my uncles were not with the time. They didn't believe in surgery, so they just hopped along and until they died, pretty much. But it was just a genetic defect that we had bad hips in our family. All of us had it.
We're very lucky in the UK because we have the NHS, and they look after us from a health point of view. In the States, it's different.
Yeah, well, we have good health care if you got money to pay for. Fortunately, I'm in a position where I have that.
It cost, to go through the surgeries that you've gone through, it's cost an awful amount of money. Has there ever been a point of regret with the size that you ended up getting to with your building?
Oh, no. When you win 8 Miss Olympias and you never even thought you was going to win one, there's no regret whatsoever. There is one regret I have. I remember when I was, powerlifting has always been a big thing for me. And powerlifting is pretty much what brought me to the love of, weight training and weightlifting. So I always wanted to lift real heavy, like heavy lifts. So I would always do powerlifting when I was bodybuilding. So when in the off season, I would go to powerlifting shows still powerlift. And I remember the first time I deadlifted 750, and I was like, man, I never ever thought I'd get to that. And then I got to 800, and you know, I was like over the moon. That was something that was truly unbelievable to me. It was so unbelievable, I named a video after that. And I remember my first time squatting 800. I remember the day and everything because it was like a week process. That whole week I dedicated to squatting 800 because, you know, it was something that I never done, and it was something that I always wanted to do, like more than winning the Olympia. So I get to 800 to squat, and I'd already deadlifted, and I remember deadlifting. It was the hardest thing I had ever done in my life. I mean, that 800 felt like 8,000. And I pulled it up from the floor, and I was so excited. You know, the guy behind, Brian, was behind me. He was so hyped up too. He's like, get another one. So, you know, I was so hyped up, I got another one. And, you know, I was over the moon. So when it came to me squatting 800, I'm like, oh boy, here we go again. This is going to be the hardest thing I've ever done in my life again. But I didn't take into account that gravity pulls harder from the floor than it does when it's on your back. So I got this 800 on my back, and I'm like, I got to get at least 2. You know, I mean, 2 is if I can't get 2, I might as well not even put this on my back. You know, so I'm thinking 2 the whole time. So I get the 800 on my back. I go down, and the first thought is, damn, this is light. It was so light that it shocked me. So I immediately went down further the second time, and I put it up. And as soon as I put it up, it was the biggest regret ever. I'm like, man, I could have got at least 3 or 4 more. It was just that light, you know, because I get the whole week of preparation, thinking about just squatting 800, really motivated me and fired me up and had so much adrenaline going that it shocked me how light it was. And to this day, I'm still regretting I didn't get those 3 other reps. So, you know, I figured out a way to make up for it. Because as soon as I finished squatting, I went over to the leg press. And I had just bought this leg press where you could put like over 2,000 pounds on it. I paid a lot of money for it because I wanted to do this. So we get to 2,000 pounds, and I'm like, you know, I only squatted 800 for 2, so I'm gonna blow that away. So we got out the calculator and we started adding it up, and it came to like 2,300 pounds. Nah, that ain't nothing for me. I'm gonna blow this out the water because I'm still fired up and still mad because I only did 2 reps with the 800. So I got under it, and I think I did about 7, 8 reps, something like that. So that kind of made up for it, but it didn't totally make up for the fact that I missed out on those other 3 reps on the squat. And like I said, to this day, I'm still regretting that I didn't get those 3 reps.
Don't be going back for it. Don't be going back for it.
You know what? I was getting ready for the Mr. Olympia at the time, and I'm like, you know, I can do this again and risk injury, or I can just put it behind me and go on and you know, be happy with it. And that's what I did.
What are the conversations like with your doctor at the moment?
Right now, of course, you know, squatting is out of the question, but I still train legs twice a week. You know, I'm getting a lot stronger now, and pain has pretty much totally subsided, and I've been doing this new stem cell treatment, and it has really worked wonders for me. It's been like amazing. So I've had 2, and I have another one coming up in January. So I think the more stem cell treatments I do, the better I get. At least I've noticed that I've gotten stronger. Like I said, the pain is pretty much subsided, totally almost, and it's looking real positive for me. So I think they said it takes about 2 years for nerves to regenerate. And I remember when I had my neck surgery, I had this numbness in my right arm. My right arm was numb for about 2 years. And right at the 2-year mark, the numbness went away. So I'm hopeful that the numbness in my both feet and both legs go, and probably not completely away, but at least like 85% away. Because it's also advancing every year. The next stem cell treatment I get, they've added hyperbaric chambers to it, so that's supposed to make it work better. So the stem cell treatment also is advancing and getting better each and every year. So I figure I also will be advancing and getting better every single year. So I'm real hopeful for that. So that got me real fired up nowadays.
I think I can speak for every single person in this room that have been fans of yours for so many years, that they wish you nothing but health and wellness.
Well, it's
going
getting
forward.
better. It's getting better every single year now. So I think pretty soon here I'll be back on my feet one day, because the fighter in me from winning all the Olympias, I apply it also to this too. So I think I'll be walking like I used to one day in the future.
Just promise us one thing: you're not going back for that 800, okay?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna give up on the 800. maybe I'll go for 400 or something like that.
Fair enough. Listen, just to finish off our conversation, it's brilliant to see you here in the UK at the Arnold. Talk to me about last week, being given the Lifetime Achievement Award. Give that a round of applause. The Lifetime Achievement Award. That was absolutely outstanding. An incredible honor.
Getting the Lifetime Achievement Award was goes right along with me winning my first Olympia, except I didn't collapse on the floor, but my brain kind of collapsed when I was doing my speech. But it was one of the second greatest moment of my life.
For a guy
For sure.
that only set off on this journey for a free membership.
Yep.
To
Did pretty good, I think I did.
To receive that Lifetime Achievement Award from Arnold as well, being on the stage, that must have been...
That was, like the second biggest moment of my life, right up there with winning the Olympia. So I have come a very, very, very long way, and I'm still here, and I'm still thriving and still doing good, and things are still looking up for me.
What would today's Ronnie Coleman give the young Ronnie Coleman? What advice would he give him?
Well, the advice I try to offer people, I learned very long ago, I didn't know what my destiny in life was. I didn't know what I was put here for. But I found out, from living and experiencing life, that everybody's here for a reason. God has a purpose for each and every single one of us. And it's kind of hard, for us to figure it out, because you never know what you want to do sometimes in life. I remember when I graduated college, got my degree, I thought I was going to go on and be one of the best accountants in the world, But I come to find out that, everybody has a career. And my career was being an accountant and working in accounting, because I was real good with numbers back then, still am today. But we also have a calling, and a calling is something that's real easy for us to do in life. It's the love. It's something that we love doing. We love it so much that we don't even think we can make a living at it. you was like, man, I'm having so much fun. There's no way I can make a living at this. And that's what bodybuilding was. You know, I was having so much fun just working out each and every day, single day. It was a hobby. And I never thought I could make a living at it. That's why I never quit my job. That's why I never quit my job at the police department. I'm like, you know, there's no way I can make a living, you know, bodybuilding. I already got a career, you know, working for the police department, making a lot of money. But a calling is something that you can really make a lot of money at it, but it's also something that you love to do. You know, you love it so much, you just figure there's no way you can make a living at it. But if you accept your calling, you can make a living at it, and you can thrive at it, and you can, you know, go on and be one of the best at whatever it is your calling is. And, you know, that's a valuable lesson that I try to pass on to each and everybody that, you know, I come across.
What a wonderful way to finish our afternoon with this absolute legend. Ladies and gentlemen, one more time, put your hands together for the 8-time Mr. Olympia, Ronnie Coleman.
Yeah, buddy. Lightweight. It still ain't nothing but a peanut.